All right. When they asked me to give a presentation at the movie theaters at Metropolis, I was a bit anxious, but I think I can handle this group. And I thought it because I was walking in and I saw a big pile of people standing there. I was like, oh, damn it, this is a lot of people, but this is okay. I can manage this. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do for a living. It's, I think, very different than most of you in this room, because I'm coming from the marketing perspective, and everything that has to do with growth hacking is a bit of a hip term, but everything that has to do with helping startups to very easily and go very fast to sell their first products. Because most people, if you look at startups especially, what they do is they start with, I've got an idea, they're going to develop a lot because often they're they're technical people. They're going to develop, and then when the product is finished or almost finished, then they start selling. And we hold a totally different approach to it because we start selling at day one. The first approach is to get people in and to get new customers in. That's just on one hand, and on the other hand, we're an agency that helps big companies to have with strategic approach concerning everything that has to do with online. We are based here in Antwerp, so what we do is everything has to be data driven. So we're very fond of Google Analytics and stuff like that. And we help the decision makers at top management to decide if they're having a right approach concerning their online strategy. Because very often there's a big gap between maybe a technical side, a marketing department, and then marketing department it's very difficult to translate it to top management what the marketing department does differently than the traditional marketing department, because the online entity within companies is very often separate. It's not part of the entire marketing team. We have a bit of a different approach than traditional companies, is that we are profit-driven. You see this a lot with online marketing agencies in general, that they say, okay, we're ROI-driven, etc. For us, this is really our core business, because the first thing we're doing as consultants is we're going to go look at companies' cash flows. That goes both for startups as for big established companies, because the impact of online is so big sometimes that we really need to know where we're spending our money. And on the other hand, if you look at the amount of money that people spend in marketing, like a traditional big company, you see 99% goes into TV advertising and on the radio, etc. And it's about 1% that goes into online. While online is by far, in my opinion at least, the best measurable, scalable, etc. So this is a quick division. We work for companies that have no online marketing within their own entity, or we work with on a strategic level, that's for the bigger ones, just as an advisor, as an external eye to look at how things are developing. Well, this is not very interesting. What I wanted to, first of all, is wanted to convince you about why this is so cool. This is a screenshot of Google Analytics. I don't know who works here with Google Analytics. 1, 2, it's getting there. And who works with Google Analytics on a daily basis? Not too many. All right, I do, and I think it's the best tool there is. So just to explain what the impact is of Google Analytics and what it can provide if you look at insights. Imagine you walk into the Foot Locker. Everybody knows a Foot Locker. They sell sneakers and stuff like that. And I know, if somebody walks into the Foot Locker online, how many people search for Nike shoes, plural, how many people look for the Air Max, how many people look for Nike shoes in Antwerp as a physical location. And what do I know? I know how many people came to my site. I know how they behave. That's a behavior thing. That's, you see the bounce rates and how many time on site, etc. And on the far right, I see what revenue is created by it. You have to imagine this. This is what I know. Everybody who works with Google Analytics can see this. Imagine that you're a physical shop. And everybody who walks into the door, you know exactly, okay, he was searching on Nike shoes, he was looking for a shop, he was looking for Adidas, this brand, that size, this color. This is how far we can go. On the other hand, we look at the medium on the far left. It's the channels that we use. CPC is everything with AdWords, Google AdWords. Who uses Google AdWords? All right. And then none is direct traffic, etc. You have to turn it around and think about it as, I know exactly if I put a commercial on television, how many people go to my website. I know exactly if I put a new ad on the radio or in a newspaper, etc., what the results and the benefits of it was. I can even adjust it over time. For example, you start advertising with Google AdWords. It's not like a fixed budget I spend. It's on the fly. You can say, okay, we have to spend less or more on certain keywords or on certain placements, etc., etc. And it's this power that makes, for me, online marketing very, very attractive. Because if I have the discussion with a traditional marketing department, they always have a problem because they can never say this. It's like IKEA or Windows putting an ad on the side of the street and saying, do they know how good this works? And you know how expensive this is? And we have that answer as an online marketeer. We know everything, from impressions to clicks to how many people viewed it, clicked on it, then went to the website and bought the product. And that makes it very, very powerful. I've got a case here. This is what I worked on. This is Pepper is a Dutch dating agency, so it's 100% online. They have no other means of income than people subscribing online. And they're part of a very big media house. So they have free advertising on TV, almost free. And you see over there, you see the start of the campaign. And this is nationwide primetime television in Holland. And we see nothing. We see nothing. We don't see any effect on their website traffic. That's, of course, and I have to tell this because this is the numbers I'm looking at. So I have to go to this media house and say, okay, guys, very nicely done, but I don't want to know how much it costs. And I know it's 10 times as much as the budget you put into AdWords and online advertising. But I think you're missing some effect here. And it's very difficult to grasp what we're going to say. Yeah, but you don't see direct effect. You see the effect is in a couple of days or months or years later. We're top of mind and it's brand recognition and la 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 la. And you've lost me, because I know if I put AdWords on, my traffic goes like boop, and I put it off, goes like this. It's very. You can really say, okay, this works, this doesn't work. And we're very flexible as well. For example, in AdWords, we can say, okay, I'm going to present you this ad or this ad and see what works the best. In television, you don't see that because they don't measure it. It's not their way of working. This is a bit of a difficult one, so you have to stick by me a bit. You have MediaMarkt. Everybody knows MediaMarkt, very big. They have both a lot of shops physically, as in they have their own website. If I tell you, and I don't know if people of you are in e-commerce or something that really sells a product online, a 2% conversion rate overall is good. That means that 2 out of 100 people that come to your website actually buy something. Translated to a physical shop, if 2 out of 100 people would actually buy something in the MediaMarkt, if they went in there, MediaMarkt would be broke, because that doesn't happen. So we're working with the economic truth of an e-commerce website is very different than from a physical shop. Yet again, you'll see that the online marketing department, is totally separated from the offline marketing department, because they do totally different things. They have totally different KPIs. They never get along because one is spending a lot and can't show what the result is, and one is spending very little and can show exactly what the result is. So there's always a conflict. And we sit in between to let all the groups grasp what they're doing. So what do you look at? Is you both have online KPIs, have offline KPIs. And an online KPI is just sales. It's very simple. And like I said, that means 2% conversion rate is average in e-commerce. And somebody can prove me wrong, definitely. There are probably shops that do better. There are shops that do a lot worse as well. I've seen them all, I think. So what do the other group of people do? A lot of them look up shop locations. So, and it's actually very logical. If you would buy a refrigerator, it's very big, and you don't really know what a good refrigerator is. So it's very logical that you maybe look at it online or investigate what the best product is to buy, and then go to a specific shop just to buy it there and to talk to somebody who has to convince you that it's the right decision. Yet again, people do not take that into account. If you would, and I would, there's not too many marketeers in this room, but still, if you bump into one, ask him this question. If you advertise online, do you only try as a KPI measure how many people buy a product? If he says yes, you have to say you're making your company bankrupt. Very simple. Why? Why would you not take into account the fact that out of the 100 people to buy online, but maybe 50 look up shop locations? Isn't that worth something? To give you an example, to advertise Samsung 55-inch TV, etc., is €2.5 per click, approximately. €2.5, €2.5, €2.5, €2.5. This is why Google gets very rich, €2.5, etc., etc., etc. Autoverzekering is car insurance. It's in Belgium, which is not a very aggressive market if it comes to online marketing. It's already €5. I know it's in the States. You can get CPC, so cost per click, of up to €10 a click. $10 a click, which is a bit less, I must admit. So that's $10, $10, $10, $10, $10. And I can assure you that most people that look for car insurance do not buy it online. Most people look for car insurance online and then still go to their bank or whoever sells physically, talk to somebody to explain why car insurance is a good idea. And this is not to say that as an online marketeer that I don't like what I do, but it's a very different economic reality that I'm trying to sell. Because I'm not only trying to convince you to buy online, which is ridiculous, because nobody here has bought more products online than offline. I'm sure of it. Most of you still go to shops and do it maybe on a daily or weekly basis. It's even that bad, or that bad, it's not bad, it's just how it is, that the growth in online adoption is slowing down a lot. It's still growing, which is good if you compare to the rest of Europe, for example, but it's going down bit by bit. So to say that online e-commerce is going to be bigger than offline commerce, I don't believe that. I think that's a bridge too far, and it's not going to be in my lifetime even. I don't think that people are really keen on doing that, especially because some products are just very, very complicated to buy. But still, it's very important that if you are an online marketeer, you take all your KPIs into account. Because if you don't, and we call it in Dutch, je zit in de zakken, you're in the pockets of the owner or yourself even. I talk to business owners with physical shops as an online platform. And we're talking to him and we're saying, okay, you're not selling anything online. No, it's a big problem and that's why we want to hire you. I said, okay, it's fine, but why do you even focus that much on the online aspect? If you sell a product which really is very difficult to sell online, which they are, buy a car online, you don't do that. You always go look at the car. Then it's very logical that people that go to your website just want to know where you are physically and then go to your shop. So then it becomes very important that you actually measure all these KPIs. So if you look, and this is a very simple thing, the top one, you have sessions, these are keywords on the left. You have cost that you spend, and online conversions, you have 1,000 conversions. And each conversion has cost you €100. Now, in most e-commerce, a cost per conversion of €100, they're not very happy with you. But in reality, it's not €100, it's far less. In reality, you have the same cost, but you have 1,000 online conversions, but you have 2,000 offline conversions generated because of your online. That means one conversion was €33, which means it's very profitable, which means you could even increase your advertising budget even. And this reality is something that most marketers or most companies are not aware of, which is quite awkward actually, in my opinion. If anybody has a question or says, you're telling bull, then please tell me. Because I've seen this firsthand, what consequences are sometimes of people not taking all KPIs into account. And this is a very grim way to look at it, but it has happened that companies go bankrupt, that marketers get fired because they can't make their campaign profitable just by forgetting to say, I know, online it generates this, but offline it generates this. So you have to combine it all, and then you have a totally different story. So that's a lesson for everybody, especially for people who are both selling online as offline. Take all KPIs into account. And all KPIs are all interactions with your website that are of value. And that could be e-commerce, like really a transaction, a lead, but it can also mean shop locations or phone calls. B2B companies never measure phone calls. And most of the time, if I have to buy a complicated product, I'm not going to type an email saying, okay, these are my specifications, and I need this, this, and this, and this, and this, and that. I just call and say, hey, do you have this in stock? Yes or no? And then you hang up. And you do not take that into account, you're already missing something. And it's very dangerous for a company because you say, oh, the marketing is not effective enough, we're going to spend less instead of more. And less means less business. Less business means less turnover. Less turnover means less growth. This is just a slide because I'm always talking a lot about everything that has to do with advertising. While advertising is a very expensive means to get traffic to your website, especially Google AdWords, etc., and especially if you're in very high competitive markets. So I would always advise you to have a very, very aggressive approach if it comes to SEO. Why? Because the revenue you get from SEA, which is search engine advertising, that's Google AdWords, let's say, to simplify it a bit, and SEO is the same intention. So people buy shoes. I want to buy shoes online. The SEA result, so the advertising result, has cost you €4 or €5 a click, while the SEO result has cost you a couple of cents. Just in human capital you have to invest in it to get your SEO rankings up. So the ROI you get on SEO is far, far greater than you get on the advertising part. And you see in most companies, they're very dependent on advertising because a lot of budget goes there, so they lose track of the fact that the most return on investment is created via the free traffic. Or email is another one. It's very, very powerful because you have a very low cost to send it out, let's say. And you have a very high return because you know who you're talking to, you know what they're interested in, often you know the names, purchase history, etc., etc., etc. These are some things that are very important to us when we manage campaigns, or when we look at management of campaigns. It's better to say. But for example, just to show what an impact it has. On the top one, the top two, you see we have a script running. We serve ads A/B constantly. So you say first you get an A version, you get a B version, you click, you don't. You get an A version, you get a B version, you click, you don't, and then you measure it up, and then you get this result saying, okay, you got so many clicks, you got so many impressions, CTR. Then you get conversions, which is very important if you're in a business, and then you've got cost per conversion. And you see that's the second to the right, you see that on the top one, the current champion, the one that is winning, you see that the cost per conversion is less than €4, while the next one is for almost €4.50. That means for the same amount of money, it's 42 cents, a bit more than 42 cents more expensive to advertise. So the budget is going to be depleted a lot quicker. And this is what we constantly do. We constantly say people, you have to test. While the differences between the two ads, if you look at it like this, is very simple. It's very limited. And in my opinion, you get far better results if you are very, very aggressive at testing your ads. Just imagine that IKEA puts an ad on the side of the street and says, oh, this one doesn't work. And a week later, they print 1 million new ones and place those next to the street. It's impossible. Physically, it's not possible. Online, it takes me 2 minutes to change 1 million ads if I want to. And then you get these kinds of results. You have Q1 2013 and 2014. And then the cost per conversion in a certain group has gone down from 47 to 25, which is a lot cheaper. So for the same amount of money, I get, instead of 85, I get 156 conversions. So I get a very happy customer. But I don't always get it right. A quarter later, I have a negative result. So it's constant work. It's not something that you can just put on, optimize for a certain amount of time and then leave. It's something you constantly have to work on. But if you do, you can get these kinds of results. And that's a very big challenge for online marketing because you're in a growing business. So it's always imperative that you can say to a customer, we've grown your business and we have increased your revenue or your ROI or etc. Which is not as easy because if you're selling plane tickets and half of the world doesn't want to travel anymore because of economic problems, you still have to show that you're doing better than you did the year before, which is not always possible. Or for instance, we had a customer, his revenue went down a lot. And then he said, yeah, that's your fault because you did less transactions. But he forgot to mention that he increased his prices, this margin that he wanted for himself by 30 or 40%. So he was pushed out of the market by his competitors at once, like that. So you have to be very careful with making some decisions and what the impact can be. Another case we had is a website that wants to be in compliance with all regulations. Yeah. So in Holland you have the cookie laws, etc., and they're very strict on it. And the government said, yeah, we're going to punish everybody who doesn't comply, and etc. So they said, yeah, we have to comply right now. Well, there wasn't no legislation or no judge that ruled judgment in the past yet. So it was totally new. And by complying to the rules, they decreased their conversion rate by 4 or 5%. Oops. So then we said, no, stop doing that and stop listening to compliance department. See and measure what the impact is. What they could have done, which I would have done, is say, okay, on 5% of the traffic, which they generate a lot of traffic, on 5% of the traffic, we're going to test what it means to be compliant according to the law. And then say, okay, if I would do this for the entire group, what would it mean in total? And then you could even decide, how much is the fine actually? 10,000 euros. Who cares? This is another one. I don't know how many of you do a lot of A/B testing, because I'm a big fan of it. It's very simple. The top one is the original, the bottom one is the variation. We send 50% of the traffic over the top one and 50% over the variation, and we look at the results. A/B testing is only very nice if you have quite a lot of traffic, because else to get a significant result, it takes you a lot of time. So if you A/B test, for example, on a website that has very little traffic, then only do your tests on that page that have the most traffic. because else the result is going to take you way too long. So the less traffic a page has, the more difficult it has to get a statistic result. But you see, you got a green button, the button is bigger, less distraction, everything that has to do with cancel or delete. We made it very small and very tiny so nobody would be looking at it. And then you get this. I mean, I'm a very happy guy then. So you get an increase in conversion rate, you get an increase in transactions, which means an increase in revenue, and you have changed a button. I know for a fact that Booking.com has more than 1,000 variations of their search box, the yellow box that everybody knows, and test everything. And they have a significant result within a day because there's so much traffic going over their website. And increasing your conversion rate by 1% has major impact on revenue. Major, and it's something you really have to look at. And if I would say I could spend 100,000 euros on advertising or on conversion optimization, always go for conversion optimization. It's not clear what you're going to get, but the result, if you have a positive result, is far bigger. Because it's like a flying wheel. Because all traffic you send to an optimized page or a more optimized page is converting better at a higher rate. So you get more of everything. More traffic, more sales. More sales is more revenue. More revenue means you're growing, you can spend more in marketing, and then you go. So what you'll see often then, because of having this approach, that you grow into different sources. So you don't start with all traffic and all traffic sources, but you start with high performance traffic and then look at different aspects. For example, I haven't seen an account yet, and there's probably somebody who has, but that invests a lot in social media like Facebook and Twitter that actually generate revenue from it. I've never seen it. So you can do whatever you want in Facebook and in social media in general. It would never be my first approach because it does not generate what a lot of people expect from it. Me, for example, I am not a social media buff at all. I don't really care about it that much. This is just a nice one. This is if you would search, this is not done by us, by the way, it's a German agency, but it's nice to talk about it because it's very creative, I think. If you would type in the ultimate business car in Google and go to Google Images, they manipulated the result so that there's a Volkswagen result. And in my world, where this goes to a blog directly, of course, and everybody was talking about it. And because they said, this is very smart, everybody's talking about it, they manipulated it even further and said, looking for an SEO agency, come and visit us. Another way to generate traffic without having to spend a lot. And that's via affiliate marketing. I don't know how many people are aware how affiliate marketing works, but in short, you have your company, your website, and there is a secondary party who has a lot of traffic or an email database of millions of email addresses, etc. And they're going to generate traffic for your website. And you pay them most often just via per sale. So you only have to pay them if they generate a sale. That means you could also tell them, you can advertise for me, AdWords, doesn't matter. Do whatever you want. Maybe you want to control how they're placing their ads, etc. But you don't have to finance anything anymore because they're going to finance your campaigns. And in that way you can grow on the budget of somebody else, which is always very nice to do. So I would definitely allow it. And what you don't allow, if you're looking at affiliate advertising, is you do not allow them to advertise on your brand name. You'll see that sometimes, that an affiliate says, okay, I want to advertise, that's fine, via Google AdWords, for example, and they're going to advertise on your brand name. They are not responsible for the fact that your brand name grows. So tell them, okay, you can advertise, you can do keyword buying, it's called, but you cannot advertise on my brand name. This is more of the growth hacking scene that we had to talk about, or I wanted to talk about, is how we validate our business. And this is, it's not our website, by the way. We've seen this website and we said, oh, this is very smart. They sell rechargeable phone cards for your phone. And for us, it's like, okay, that's very high volume. Apparently, a lot of people still use rechargeable phone cards. It's recurring. So on an email perspective, you can build crazy databases. You know how many people, how often they have to recharge their phone card. So you can already start sending the mails after 2 days and 20 days, and you on 35 days, because out of data we mine, we know what your how much you call and how often you call. So we said, okay, this is a very smart guy, and we are on the advertising part. We can probably advertise far more specific and better at lower cost than he can. So we're going to copy this site, exactly copy it. We made the same, and it cost us maybe €1,000. We had €1,000 in advertising budget, and we just sent traffic to our new website. We did not talk to Proximus or Base or Mobistar or anybody of the telecom companies yet. We just want to measure per 100 people how many people click on a Proximus card, what kind of card, and how often do they want to say, buy now, click. Because if I have that data, I know exactly if I would have bought these cards, how many I would have sold. Imagine it as a bakery. You rent a building, you buy machines, you decorate your shop, you have to paint it, you may have to make a commercial about it that everybody knows that you just opened, and you open your door. The process in itself takes maybe months, probably. This took us 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we built the website on our spare time, we put the website live, we advertised on it and said, we're not selling enough. It's not that interesting. The margin on the telephone card is very, very low, so you have to have insane amounts of volume to make this very interesting. So we said, no, we're not going to do it. We killed it. Just like that. 2 weeks, and we know that the business is going to work for us, yes or no. If somebody in this room can buy telephone cards very cheaply, please come talk to me, because that was the problem. Another one we did, or we're doing actually, this is on the left. It's a do-it-yourself emo site. So you want to buy, or you want to buy a house or sell a house, maybe it's even better. And you say, okay, I have to go talk to this guy, and he takes X amount of percent of the selling price, which is crazy amounts. And you say, okay, but they're not doing that much. They put it on a housing website, and that's about it. So what did we do? We made do-it-yourself packages. So we built a site, we described what the product was, we advertised on it, and we see how many people would buy a do-it-yourself package. And we start playing with pricing. So, okay, do-it-yourself package, and we have a basic one and a plus and a super all-in-one inclusive, everything. And then we said, okay, we're gonna the biggest one we're gonna sell at €500. And then we test, okay, no, that's not gonna work. Maybe it's more interesting to sell it at 300. Lower margin, but higher volume. We're testing this, and this actually works. So now we're going to create these packages, because we haven't. And at the time that people want to pay, you say, sorry, we're out of stock, or regulations have changed, so we're going to update our program or whatever. And then we know already how it's going to work. So I can already tell you how much we're going to make out of this as well. Just by building a very simple website, template it, and sending traffic to it. Very easy. Same goes for the right. We're doing this for somebody else who has their own startup. It's a high GPU processing units, but they put it in the cloud, so you can have your AutoCAD and etc. just on your laptop, on your tablet, etc. And you can still use it as a tool, which I'm very enthusiastic about. So we have the same approach. They haven't finished their development on their product yet, but we're already selling it, just to make sure that we're already grasping the customer. And because you can always say to a customer, you're going to be my beta user. I want you. So we're going to put you in a special program, and you're going to get discounts, etc., just to get the first people in, because that's the most difficult. The most difficult that I have ever encountered, and I've never realized that it was that difficult, is to sell something. It's not easy. People don't want to spend money. unless you're Nike, and that took them, I don't know, 100 years almost already. This is actually a question for you, so there is some interaction here. The question is, why are these companies very smart or very good at what they do? And why are they winning the battle for online? And why do I mean winning? If you look at online e-commerce, in retail, the revenue is generated by 5 companies. 95% of the revenue is generated by 5 companies, and the rest is nothing. And that has to be divided by how many e-commerce shops? Millions by now? So that's very, very painful to look at. So if you go into e-commerce, not a problem, but be very aware of what you're going to go against. So who has an idea? Why are these companies the ones I am very happy of, very jealous about even? Who wants to guess?
I think a few of these actually save you money compared to the competitors.
The answer was that a few of those save you money compared to competitors. Somebody else? Yeah? A brand? Others? Sorry? Yeah. The answer was no assets, and they are on a commission-based revenue scheme. Yeah? All right. There are 2 types in these. There are the types that are a platform. And these are, for example, the eBays and Amazon is also a platform. You as a reseller can sell your products via the Amazon platform. So they're the top of the food chain because they can cover everybody. Another one is really top of a food chain mentality. At first, you had the airliners with their own websites. So KLM had one, and Air France, and BA, and etc., etc., etc. They had their own website selling their tickets. There was a very smart guy, and this was in Holland, who started cheaptickets.nl. And they compared all the different airliners. And then a lot of people said, that's very smart, I'm going to do the same. So what they did, they built cheap tickets number 2 and number 3 and number 4 and number 5 and etc. And so you have a lot of cheap tickets lookalikes, let's say. And then there was even a smarter one who said, you know what I'm going to do in that Skyscanner? I'm going to compare the comparer. So they are starting to compare the cheap tickets out of this world, top of the food chain. And then you have the master move of these guys, and that's again Google, and which is a bit of a pain in the ass, but still it happens, is they generate the top of the top. What did they do? Very smart. They didn't buy a brand or generated a brand, they just bought the company that generated all the data for all these companies. And said, now you're mine, and I control the data, I control your source, so I'm first. I'm top of the food chain. Go to this website, it looks like crap. Skyscanner is a by far more functional website, but it's the best compare website there is at the moment. The same goes for hotels. LinkedIn is a platform. Facebook is a platform. Tweedehands is a second-hand platform you have in Belgium. Beslist is same, it's a platform, and that's why they're very, very powerful at what they do, and very effective because they generate a revenue like crazy. Alibaba is a very good example of that platform. So if you're looking at you want to build something, have this top of the food chain. We call it in Dutch the buitenste schil, the outer shell. So you're covering everybody, or go for a platform. That's why you have more and more startups that generate APIs, so that anybody can use what they have developed, so that more people can use it. These are 2, and there's a lot. I got 2 more examples for you, because I'm within time now. This is a platform. It's like YouTube, only they do everything that has to do with 3D or immersive media, like if you movies that are generated for an Oculus Rift, for example. They generated a platform just to host this kind of software. They're developing it at the moment. It's technically quite complicated because stitching software and etc. But we're already selling it. We're already saying to people and to big companies saying, oh, you need to put your advertisement on this platform. We're already trying to generate traffic for it. Why? Because we need to know from the get-go if people actually want this. Because why would you develop something if you don't even know that people want this? This is another one, Sign to Pay. It's a payment provider which you can just by signature on your mobile phone pays for something. So instead of in Holland or in Europe you have these card readers. You need, if you want to pay something via a bank transaction, this is being replaced just by your autograph. So you can go wherever, you're sitting on the couch, you want to order pizza, autograph, signed, paid and delivered. Very intuitive, it's very new, it's actually very old traditional bank transfer you have on paper. You sign it and that's your autograph and that's your authentication. It does the same thing but then digitalizing it. From day one we started advertising and saying, okay, we need new customers, we need to bring them in. And then we just put them, we have a really onboarding process. We think about, okay, how are we going to keep these customers within our walls and say, okay, we're going to involve them at the development. What do you need? Why do you want this? Can you test this? Can you test this? And then it's very nice to see that when we started and when you talk to a new customer and say, okay, this is my product, it's very good, implement it, buy it, and we're very happy. It's very difficult to convince people. If you say, I'm developing something, but I need your help, and implement this piece of software, and we're going to test this if it works for you, and then implement this, and we're going to take you down the process, step by step, instead of trying to sell the entire product at once. So this is our approach. Another one, this is the last line. It's very good for B2B, so it's nice if you're in a B2B company. What you can do is you can place your LinkedIn profile via an iframe on your website. What does it generate? Everybody that's visited your website but is also logged into LinkedIn, like logged into Facebook, you can see it as who visited my profile. For example, if you need a premium account to have the most benefit out of this. But then we know that this and this guy from this and this company visited our website, specifically the person, instead of normally it's just numbers. So this is a very good way, and it only works very well for B2B companies because B2C companies get a lot of volume over the website and they don't want to talk to everybody yet. But the B2B company, this works very well. That's it for me. If you have any questions, ideas, I'd say go for it. Do not wait too long to drive traffic to your website. Don't say I'm going to develop my entire product and it has to be finished before I can sell it. It is not necessary. You're going to take your investment is going to take a lot longer to get it back. So and just have fun a bit and be a bit aggressive and don't think too much about what is my image, etc., because people are very forgiving, and they are forgiving because they do not remember very often. So it makes it very easy. So you can fail, it's not a problem. Just say you failed and say sorry. I did it 1,000,000 times. Saying I tried something, it went wrong, I'm very sorry, but I'm going to try this now. All right, that's it. Have a nice. So I have questions, of course. Sorry. There is not a minimum amount of visits because it's statistics. So you just need a statistically significant group. And it can take you a day or it can take you a year. You see? So I would not go about it if you have less than 1,000 visits a week or something like that, which is very little still. So I would not, if you are below that figure, I would not go about it. If you do want to go about it, which is fine, then be very drastic at your what you A/B test. Why? The best A/B test is I'm going to change only the button color. But to get a significant difference, it takes you a lot of time. If you would drastically change the page, you get a significant result far quicker, Only the problem is you cannot say anymore, oh, it was because of this, this, and this, and that. Or only that button. Because you're going to change a lot at the same time. You can also do, by the way, A/B test on A/B test. You do not have to wait. If you're testing this page, you can also test this page. Because if you're going to wait for it to get a statistically significant result every time, if you don't have that much traffic, it's going to take you forever. So I am very data-driven. Yes, I like numbers, but sometimes it's also, okay, let's go for it. Just works better than that, and take a decision. Yes.
You also talked about search engine optimization.
Yes.
Do you have any experience with that it's so much manipulated that you get blacklisted by Google?
Only if you manipulate it, you get blacklisted by Google. In general, I implore you not to try to cheat Google. They're very effective at what they do. They've done it a million times, and they put a lot of resources at it. So I would be very careful with it. Especially if you look at link building, which you would see it happens a lot, which is because it is one of the very powerful impact on your rankings, but you have to be very careful with it. So don't just be, as a normal person, think, okay, what will people like? And do that a lot, because that's the main problem. A lot of SEO, especially, has to do with content creation. And people hate to write for some reason. So it's very difficult to get a lot of content on websites, especially if it's a non-product driven, but services website. Services websites don't have that many pages and do not generate that much new content. The reason why Wikipedia is very powerful within search engines is because it's huge and a lot of content. Other questions? Nothing? I'll let you go.